the gentleman from California, Mr. Lowenthal, for gosh,
Yes,
long time.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be very brief in my comment, not like some members. General Salmon, Mr. James, I want to follow up on some of the comments and echo some of the comments of Ranking Member DeFazio when he began to talk about the harbor maintenance fee. And, you know, the President prides himself on as a builder. And you know our country has tremendous needs for infrastructure improvements, especially in our harbors and waterways. Our ports are the center of the 21st century global supply chain. They enable American manufacturers to reach foreign markets and to facilitate the movement of consumer goods and industrial imports throughout our nation. They're a vital national asset, but they face new challenges with larger ships, rising container volume, more congestion, both at the gateways and on land. So in looking at the President's budget and the President's infrastructure proposal, it seems like the administration is trying to cast aside the federal responsibility for these assets, cutting investments in the improvements that we need to make to grow commerce at our seaports. You know, last week we held a hearing on revenue options for surface transportation. However, I'd like to point out in our harbors we have the revenue, yet the administration doesn't propose to spend it or to use it. Can you tell me what's the administration's vision for our ports? How do they propose that we meet these challenges of congestion, growth, international trade by not allocating the resources? Can you tell me?
No, sir, I cannot. But I will be glad to meet with you later with staff, and we'll discuss this. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about our ports yet to discuss them intelligently, and I don't want to give you some kind of off-the-cuff answer.
I just to refresh, and I'm not sure I know the exact numbers. You know that our the harbor maintenance fee, which is really a user fee, or a harbor maintenance tax, which is a user, generates, I think, over $1.6 billion. It goes into a trust fund. President's only proposing to spend $900 million of that. We have tremendous needs. We're generating for both dredging and for harbor maintenance. That's what the money is supposed to be used for, and yet I don't understand what the President's vision is, where we're going on that. So I would appreciate meeting with you and understanding that more. I think it's vitally important because the revenue stream is there. We're not talking about surface transportation where there is no longer a revenue stream. The same issue is on the Inland Waterways Fund. I would love to have a response back about what's the vision for the use of the inland waterway.
Yes, sir, certainly.
I think that'd be appropriate, and I really look forward to our meeting. Mr. Chairman, I want to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record the executive summary of an Army Corps Civil Works report called the Ohio River Basin, Formulating Climate Change Mitigation Adaptation Strategies through Regional Collaboration with the Ohio River Basin Alliance. I'm the co-chair of the Safe Climate Caucus, and I often talk to my community about how we're going to have to adapt to sea level rise and other effects of climate change. General Salmonite, I was struck by how this report detailed the substantial effects we expect from climate change in America's heartland along the Ohio River Basin. From higher stream flows in the spring to longer, drier droughts in the summer and fall, it seems that these challenges will require substantial investments in the resiliency of our inland waterways, and which gets back to that fund. How is the Corps working to meet these challenges from climate change?
I think, sir, the main thing is when we look at a project, we've got to be able to predict what is going to be those future conditions. We can't design for today. We've got to be able to make sure we're designing for about 50 years out, and then we've got to build them back in. So how do we take the effects of weather? How do we take all the things you're talking about? And
Climate change specifically, yes.
how do we make sure those things are wrapped into a future project and formulate it? And then how do you do that in an affordable manner?
So you build resiliency in when knowing that that's really going to be the issue.
We always look at an alternative of a bunch of different options, and then based on the what is the best return back to the taxpayer, then we pick the best alternative.
Thank you, and I yield back.
Could the gentleman please clarify